show. I was on fire in my head. I'm like thinking of all this funny shit I should say. I'm brainstorming. As I'm walking, I'm brainstorming for the show tonight, things to say, or I don't know, just things. And that initial kind of rise of the first Coke of the day. You have all these ideas. And they seem like great ideas because, you're chemically enhanced and shit. And, what do they call that in baseball? Performance enhancing drugs, I guess. It's a performance enhancing drug, and so, but it's also just looking so nice. I mean, look at that. That foliage is just unbeatable. And so I thought, what the hell? Well, I've got this new phone too. Let me tell you all my reasons. That's what everybody wants to. That's why I get such high ratings. I got this phone, right? So it's like, before my battery was just in very grave shape. Now it's like I could probably do an hour of this and charge it and be totally fine. The battery lasts forever. So why the hell not? I thought it'd be a good little warm up for me. Get the entertainment bone kind of stretched, warm, and in action and stuff. Let's go to this bridge. I'm kind of into these bridges. It seems to me like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like Prospect Park doesn't have as many bridges as Central Park. Central Park has all these great arched kind of bridges and shit. Yeah, and so I'll just talk about everything that I've been consuming, I guess, media, and just shit. I went to Peter Glissman's comedy show on Saturday. Shout out Peter Glissman. He comped me. And I live, not too far from the Upper West Side Comedy Club. So I could just walk. I walked through Central Park, right over there, and enjoyed the new talent showcase, which was actually a bunch of old people. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I don't mean that in a judgmental way. They were all very good comedians, actually. I was surprised. You know how these things can be. If I had paid $50 for it, maybe I wouldn't have been so thrilled, but Peter Glissman did a great job. He looked sharp. The food was excellent. So yeah, invite me to your shows and shit, your comedy shows. Well, Ashley was supposed to go with me, but she won a ticket to this band Horse Girl and Lifeguard and this band Bar Italia at Brooklyn Paramount, where I've seen more and more people playing. It's like in downtown Brooklyn. It's become like a new, I think, did Geese play there? Wherever geese are plants. I think we've gotten to the bottom of this, because I guess Cameron Winter's dad was like a music guy on SNL or something. He worked for NBC. His parents are like industry, so I really think geese, they're okay. The guy's voice, it's a little annoying. It's a little hard to listen to. But people love it. People seem to love it, according to, I don't mean to talk they're okay. I just think it's a little bit ludicrous to put them in the all-time greats category already. I really want there to be a band as good as the fucking Beatles out there. I think we all do. This is a lot of the think pieces are about how there's no culture. I read this think piece in what was the hipster, all this shit from the New York Times. I think it was in the New York Times, just about why has culture stagnated, and just thinking, it was this documentary about radio, and thinking about all the technological advances. It's 1970 to 1970 was like in an era of like unprecedented kind of discoveries and invention and creativity, artistic And, you know, like electricity, for Christ's sakes. You know, they invent electricity. It's hard to believe, actually. You know, it's hard to believe that, like, they invented fucking cars. They invented fucking flying. You know, like, all in, like, sort of a brief span of time. It's like suddenly people are goddamn flying. It's, you know, it's such a huge change in such a short period of time. It's almost hard to, like, really understand that. And not that we're not continuing to have, you know, obviously phones and I don't even know. What are the other advances, right? Other than just stupid apps and shit. You know, putting a fucking portable television in your pocket that everybody can be like a producer of. That's basically what the phone has become. So it's interesting watching this documentary about radio, because radio just seems like this kind of forgotten, kind of unimportant. It got kind of paved over with television, and, you know, radio just seemed like this kind of ancient, but it's sort of about how the 19th century grew into the 20th century and mass culture and corporate culture. These people that invented the radio and the TV were like these kind of indie inventor guys. That was probably like cool in the late 1800s. I mean, think about somebody like Thomas Edison, for Christ's sake. You know, I mean, a lot of people were like working under him and shit like that, but like, Jesus Christ, the things that this guy did for humanity are kind of hard to believe, actually. You know, in that late 19th century, that kind of Gilded Age, I guess, did seem like it was kind of a golden era for that kind of innovation, independent people like Tesla, right? Everybody talks about Tesla, man. What about fucking Thomas Edison? Thomas Edison invented so much shit. We wouldn't be live streaming today if it wasn't for Thomas Edison. You know, the electricity. You know, so these guys were like farm guys. Edison's from Ohio, right? I remember reading a biography of him, and the fucking elementary school, not the one I went to, but the other one, was called Thomas Edison Elementary School in Columbus, Ohio. And I don't know, maybe there's always like a concurrent cultural evolution that's happening with that stuff. But I mean, it sort of feels like we're in a similar era of innovation with computers and, I don't know, not necessarily the electric car thing or Tesla or any of that bullshit. I think they want to fashion themselves in that way, like they're these, like they're on par with that or something. Like Elon Musk is like fucking Tesla, or he's Thomas Edison, or but it does feel like, you know, everything we fucking do is through the phone now. Everything is like phone oriented. It's hard to get around it. I mean, especially if you want to be in show business. I mean, no one has clicked this yet, by the way. This is 9 minutes. My last stream did not get that many views. I was talking about Epstein and Clinton and Trump and all that, Bubba. So I think it got kind of, I think it got killed. I think they killed the story, you know. They pulled the plug on that. They did not want to promote that. I was shadow banned, obviously. That's why nobody watches, because I'm shadow banned. I think they just bury it, to be, I mean, I do spend half my stream complaining about how nobody watches, but it's one of my trademarks, you know. If I didn't do that, people would be like, what the fuck? What is this? They'd be upset. And it's like one of my hit songs, you know. I gotta play the hits. If I don't complain about, you know, how nobody watches my fucking shitty live stream. But are you admiring all this? Look at all this in the background. I mean, come on. I just wanted to kind of get a little time capsule of this nice little moment. It probably looks totally like shit. These Central Park videos I do are not popular. I don't know why. To me, it's a totally magical place, but I guess it gets redundant. We've seen it enough times. We've seen enough hour-long videos of foliage in Central Park at various times of year. But I don't know. You just see it and you're just like, I have to film this. It's just too fucking nice. I don't know. So, here we are. Look at that. I mean, good God. The reflections there and fucking minding our own business here. You got to check out this. If anybody does ever watch this, you got to check out this, fucking, Shelby Foote interview. C-SPAN 2. Back in the day, you know, there were a limited number of fucking video channels. Not like now where literally every single person is a fucking channel. Back in the day, it was just Brian Lamb. C-SPAN, I guess, was not owned by the government. It was owned by this private business person, Brian Lamb. I don't know what the hell he actually did. But he had a bunch of fucking money somehow. And he started fucking C-SPAN, which was like a government, you know, mostly they just showed like Congress. As a kid, I just thought it was so boring. It's just like, oh my God, C-SPAN. What could be more fucking boring than C-SPAN? Because there's purposefully not a whole lot of window dressing. There's not a lot of video packaging. It's not like Fox News or something where it's like sports news. It's like very unsweetened. It's like ethical journalism. It's less exciting than like Democracy Now! Democracy Now! Has like that jazzy saxophone kind of flavor at the beginning. C-SPAN has none of that. C-SPAN is very bureaucratic. That's what we loved about it. That's why it was so objective seeming and impartial, and it suited our democracy. C-SPAN was like in Washington. I don't know, it's probably some CIA fucking thing, I guess. It was just like such a crucial part of neoliberal the democracy in the fucking 90s and 2000s. And the best thing on fucking C-SPAN, I can think it was C-SPAN 2. You know, because on cable, it's like there's ESPN 2, there's fucking C-SPAN 2, there's MTV 2. They gotta have two of everything. The really good shit, I guess, it gets 2 channels. C-SPAN being, I think there was even 3 fucking C-SPANs, or maybe even 4. Oh, my arms are tired from holding this. Why are my arms so tired? So anyway, if you were lucky on Sunday, they had what they called book TV. And as far as I know, nothing like this really existed on television. At least not in the fucking cable television of the 90s, where it was like, it was all about authors. It was very unadorned. Brian Lamb would have these long 3-hour fucking interviews with these authors that were like, to somebody used to like Beavis and Butthead or something, were kind of like startlingly insightful, and it kind of opened up this whole world to me. I remember seeing Harold Bloom on there, bloviating, talking about Shakespeare, the invention of the human, and the Western canon and all this shit. What's up, Bruce Holiday and Adam S.? I'm doing a little pre-show here. Doing a little warm-up. Talking about C-SPAN 2 book TV. I loved motherfucking book TV. I wish they'd bring it back. I know there's Book Talk and there's BookTube. Go watch this fucking interview with Shelby Foote. I don't know. For some reason, I think Ken Burns, right, is on some kind of like publicity tour for his new movie about the American Revolution. And so Ken Burns is just kind of like everywhere. I don't know. He's been kind of a pundit since Trump got elected. People are asking, like, Jesus Christ, Ken Burns, make sense of this. Historically, you're the historian. You're the pop historian of America. You know, you're telling the stories through these PBS documentaries, not quite like C-SPAN, but kind of public broadcasting. That was true public broadcasting. But C-SPAN definitely, or PBS definitely had Riz. PBS had tons and tons of Riz. I know I shouldn't say Riz, but here we are. Trying to be relevant for my YouTube audience. Oh, let me just sit for a minute. Jesus Christ, I can't hold this thing. Oh, Jesus Christ. Talking about C-SPAN 2, for the love of God. I know people want to hear all about this. My takes are so hot, I'm talking about C-SPAN 2. Well, I don't know. If I ever got my shit together and did like a real YouTube show, it would be exactly like Book TV. It'd be exactly like, go watch Shelby Foote. So even though Ken Burns is the pop historian, Shelby Foote is really the voice of the Civil War documentary. The guy apparently wrote a 3-volume history of the fucking Civil War. It's 3 million words, or it's 1.5 million words. So he's like a historian and a writer. But he sort of, like, I guess he knew Faulkner. He sort of comes out of this era of 40s, 50s, 60s where, like, he really had a full, like, he published all these fucking books. He's a historian and a fucking novelist. So he's written all these, like, historical fiction about the Civil War and shit. And he's just such a captivating speaker. His accent, his whole kind of aura. You know, he's a raconteur, 100%. And, I mean, you know, as a young person, that was sort of your idea of, like, what a literary life was, to be somebody like that, I guess. Just, you know, publish a shitload of books, read all the fucking time. He's got all these pictures of, like, Proust. He's really into Proust. He's read all of Proust 9 times. I read like half of the first book, and I read part of the one where it's like a freeze. And I love the idea of Proust. I mean, obviously, I think Proust would be live streaming. I think Proust is 100% like a live stream. But it has fixity, you know, because he did publish it. I would not have guessed that Proust was like a huge influence to Shelby Foote. But I think that's interesting. He also is really into Chekhov and Keats. Chekhov as like a short story writer, I think is important to a lot of people. It's interesting that Chekhov kind of has this dual life as a dramatist, playwright, and as a short story writer, and a doctor. He was a fucking doctor. The Ed Sanders bio of Chekhov is easy to read and educational. It's like infotainment. We love infotainment in the 21st century. Book TV is like infotainment. I'm all about infotainment. You know, I think as writers, I mean, Shelby Foote could have had a podcast. I mean, thank God he didn't. Thank God he was born way before that ever happened. But I mean, goddamn, just listen to the guy talk. He knows everything. You know, he's like Homer or something. He knows every fucking thing about the Civil War, all of the generals, all the battlefields. He's like, it's like the Iliad or something to him. And, you know, I don't think literature is going to die. I know this is something I talk about a lot. And it's sort of sad. It's too useful. It's just a shame. I don't know who's living the Shelby Foote life. He lives in like this fucking castle. It's in the center of Memphis, Tennessee, geographically. The original drawings. It's in the center of Memphis, according to the original charters. The original town charter. And he talks this whole thing about the Confederate flag and how it doesn't mean what people associate. He's like, it's not about racism at all. It's like, wow. It's just interesting because this was filmed in like the 90s or something. And so like one guy calls in him and asks him about PTSD in the Civil War, which I think is a really interesting question. And, now I think there is so much conscientious awareness of things like that. PTSD, CTE, the after effects of serving in battle and shit like that. And he's like, I don't really know much about it. This guy's like an encyclopedia of the Civil War, and like he doesn't know this. There had to have been a lot of alcoholism, and the way that people dealt with that. Now it's something that I feel like would be much more talked about, probably. If you're going to study the Civil War, things like that probably inform how it's studied now versus the way that he studied it, 100 fucking years ago or whatever, 80 years ago. It's woke now. The Civil War is woke now. He said it was a second American Revolution. To the people in the South, that's what it was to them. They thought they were fighting a revolutionary war or whatever. To overthrow like a fucking tyrannical government or something. He said none of the soldiers on either side would have cared at all about slavery, which I find a little hard to believe. He said that's not really what it was about to them. In their minds, which I don't know, being on the precipice of potentially another civil war, that's one of the reasons why I think we're all like panic watching all this Ken Burns shit. To be like, is this the same? We're trying to pattern recognize. This is pattern recognition, is this like, are we going through the same shit that they went through? This is going to be worse. It's going to be a civil war and a world war, supposedly. Simultaneously. But, looking at it now where everybody's like listening to podcasts and listening to fucking Joe Rogan and what their heads are full of and how people are sort of doubling down on the polarity of like right versus left and red versus blue and Trump, MAGA versus, woke or whatever the hell versus everybody else versus sensible people who care about each other, empathy versus, self-destiny, individualism, hating altruism, I don't know that we have, the issue in our society now is like wealth disparity, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch the fucking Civil War documentary again. When they taught it to us in middle school, Mr. O'Hara taught us that it was sort of more of a difference, and this is sort of what Shelby Foote said. It was a difference in like economic ways of life, and like the people in the North were an industrialized economy that was like based on machines and shit and like water power. And so, like, they didn't rely on human labor. Like, the people in the South were cotton fucking, fields and shit like that. It's like they forced human beings to do that shit that they didn't want to pay anybody to do. And they used racism. But, the idea is, like, the North was just living in the future or doing what
they were living in a much more profitable, lucky kind of circumstance, and that's sort of what tore the country apart. The South was left behind economically, and the North was trying to force them. But, you know, I read on Twitter that that's like a super racist way to look at it. You know, it's like you can't really divorce. And now when they teach this stuff, and Ken Burns included, when he talks about the Revolutionary War, he mentions those type of circumstances right up front. I saw people complaining about it on Twitter, about how it's woke. Ken Burns is like, his Revolutionary War documentary is like woke. But I don't know. That's definitely part of the dynamic of all of this. And so to say that it like wasn't on any of their minds is kind of crazy. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, if you go to their letters and shit, does that prove out? I mean, that's one of the things about the Civil War is it was so like epistolary. They actually read. They didn't have anything better than that. You know, you had to go to the fucking theater like John Wilkes Booth or whatever. So they read and shit. They all were like super articulate, super literate. Maybe not all of them, but that was like the most exciting shit, was like novels and fucking Charles Dickens and shit, Uncle Tom's Cabin. That was like their Joe Rogan podcast. That was like one battle after another to them. Or I don't even know. What's the big thing now? Mr. Beast? Who was the Mr. Beast of the Civil War? Was it Harriet Beecher Stowe? Anyway, we're getting ready for the show tonight. This is a warm-up. It's micsgiving. We're kicking off micsgiving week, so I'm gonna try to come watch this fucking balloon parade. I've never actually been to the balloon parade. But God, we need book TV more than ever. You know, if people aren't gonna read, at least we could have book TV. And book TV, I don't know, created an ideal for me where it's like they're translating, and I think it works. You know, I think writers are very captivating. Listen to this guy tell fucking stories about the Civil War and shit. It is like listening to fucking, you know, one of your grandpa or something, or it's like being around the fire or by the hearth or in the living room or whatever the fuck cliche. And I still think that that's like elementally, that's sort of what these podcasts are. They're just sort of like having some deep conversation with your shallow friends, with your broed out friends. And some people have more imprint than others for whatever reason. They were celebrities before, they were on some fucking TV show, they're talking about that TV show, or their parents are rich or something. They're buying viewers, they're buying attention, they're buying footprint. So, we're doing it the old-fashioned way. Bruce Holiday and Adam S., you will not be forgotten, okay? When I have 15 million people watching my live streams, I'm going to remember Adam S. and Bruce Holiday, okay? They were there with me, I don't know, through all the rambling about Book TV. You got to watch Shelby Foote on Book TV. Well, you're learning about history. I think with a lot of these podcasts, people want to learn. And so here's a guy that makes it entertaining. It is narrative. It is storytelling. He makes it make sense. He explains, you know, what the generals were thinking. What is it? The charge at Gettysburg. What was it called? Not Sherman. I don't remember. So, I don't know. I'd like to see the fucking Ken Burns Revolutionary War documentary. I don't know how you could bootleg that, but gotta get that PBS subscription. Who's got the PBS streaming app? Probably nobody. Didn't they destroy it? I thought they cut PBS. How are there still Ken Burns documentaries being made? I thought they destroyed PBS. I thought they Doge and Elon. It was a waste of money. PBS, obviously. They're making, what is it? They're paying for Iraqi Sesame Street. It's a waste of your tax dollars. We don't want no Iraqi Sesame Street. Oh, we should probably talk about the Mamdani Trump summit. I saw the future. I think they got to amend the Constitution so Mamdani can be president. That picture of him with Roosevelt and Trump, I thought was real weird. But it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. He's an old senile man. It's like he's got dementia. He's barely hanging on. And so it's like his grandchild came to see him. It's like, oh my God, wow. This young person came to see me. This young, cool person that everybody loves. I mean, Trump, you know, he's this apprentice guy. He's the host of the Celebrity Apprentice, okay? He's used to meeting with, he likes people who are hot. He likes celebrity. He likes the fact that somebody who's like cool would actually come and see him. Good for him, you know? He was wearing that red fucking cravat. He had a cravat. So, I don't know, man. That's good. That's good for everybody. I think that's what's smart about Mamdani. That's why he's like the future of politics. You know, because like he understands how to fucking try to bring everybody into the fucking the fold. He's a populist, I guess, in a way. He's reaching across the aisle in a sincere way. But he's also working Trump, so Trump doesn't like have this like vendetta against him that he's gonna like personally punish New York City because he doesn't like him like he does in LA or all the blue cities, Chicago. He hates Gavin Newsom. But he loves New York. I think he seemed jealous to me. It almost seemed like he'd rather be mayor of New York. But he knows he couldn't get elected here. Trump could never be mayor of New York. It's just like they know him too well. President of the United States, leader of the free world, sure. Who gives a fuck about that? It's cooler to be mayor of New York. And I think Trump loves New York and it kind of takes him back to his salad days, maybe. It's a way to link himself into the kind of, you know, I heard somebody say this, I think is kind of true. He's been out of the kind of, you know, he's used to hang out at like fucking One Oak or whatever, Studio 54. It's like, that's where he spent his whole life. Like Mar-a-Lago was like this kind of, you know, weekend getaway or whatever. In DC, you know, Melania didn't even want to live there. And Barron doesn't want to live there either. He wants a floor in Trump Tower. They love New York. And so, you know, he's been spending so much time around these kind of loser, you know, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lindsey Graham or all these kind of Mar-a-Lago lizard people that are just like real corny, the Fox News people. Like they're not as cool as like the Mamdani voters. I'm sorry. The Mamdani voters are all like super babe, like 25-year-old, like DSA, Bushwick. They have great taste. They're smart as hell. They probably have graduate degrees. Of course, Trump wants, you know, just like Elon Musk bought Twitter. It's like they want to be cool. They want cool people to like them. And so, you know, Trump is used to hanging out to these kind of like gross, spray tan, Mar-a-Lago face goblins like Matt Gaetz or Boebert or what the fuck. I mean, Bill Maher has a lot of these people on. It's just like Bill Maher. Bill Maher would love it if Mamdani came on his fucking show, but they won't do it. You know, AOC won't go on Bill Maher. AOC's like not gonna go to the White House and have a fucking like picture with Trump and shit. It's like, ooh, no, he's a fucking rapist. Whereas Mamdani, he's not divisive. You know, that's why I do think, even though he is woke, like, look, his whole staff is women and like women of color, and like he is definitely woke, like to the fucking core. He's not like fighting the culture war. He's not taking that bait. You know, that's a way that like cuts people out of his coalition, he's looking to bring everybody into the fucking socialism. Like FDR, right? Somebody we've talked about a lot on this fucking live stream. So hopefully Mamdani is like some FDR type shit. And I think Trump even kind of sees himself. He's the one that said he found this FDR portrait and like put it on the fucking wall. I think he sees himself. I mean, I heard people say FDR was sort of a dictator, right? He was a president 4 fucking terms. And he did a lot of big government type shit. New Deal and I think Trump sees himself as sort of like an interior antithesis, but similar in scope. He wants to like be a big dictator that rules forever and do a lot of big government bailout type shit, like buy whatever 10% of Intel or, you know, Trump has tons of big government. Just because FDR was a Democrat, you know, doesn't mean you can't like steal his ideas. Trump steals from everybody, okay? Good ones copy. Trump, great ones just steal from everybody. He's stealing Mamdani's little ascot, his little maroon ascot vibes. Good for him. He looked young again. He did some kind of energy suck off of Mamdani or something. And he sucked some of his life force or something. I don't know. So I think somebody said something about how like they entrained or like Mamdani regulated Trump's nervous system. Mamdani is so grounded. I think he was on an edible. I mean, did you see that picture of him? He posted a picture on Twitter. I mean, Mamdani's on Twitter, for Christ's sake. It's like he looked pretty blissed out on the plane there. So I don't know, man. Mamdani might be on some kind of like really, you know, he did a hunger strike. He might just be on a higher consciousness. You know, Trump, I'm sure, likes the way that Mamdani is sort of like cracked the New York media, and he's sort of the darling. He's the toast of New York, you know, he's the toast of the town. Mamdani is sort of the toast of Manhattan. And, you know, all his advisors and shit are on these podcasts, and they're becoming famous. Lena Khan on The Daily Show and shit. So it's sort of a honeymoon period. We'll see how long it lasts. He hasn't really actually had to do anything yet. Oh, should I keep walking? Where do I want to walk to? I told myself I wasn't going to walk this far, but every day before the open mic, I basically walk like the entire length of Central Park, which is like, I don't know, 2 miles or something, 3 miles. Oh, God. And then I go to happy hour at Phoebe's. Bar food. Bar hamburgers are like the best, cheapest deal for dining out right now. You can get a bar hamburger usually with fries for like $10 or $12. That's like Chipotle price. You know, it's cheaper for me to eat at this bar than it is to go to Chipotle. It's like, they're doing something right. McSorley's, I think, has like cheap food too. I don't know if people eat at McSorley's, but let me walk a little more, and then I don't know. I'll probably get off pretty soon. When it gets dark, I don't know. My phone is probably getting like cold. It's probably bad for the technology. Yeah, I don't know. Are we living in an era of cultural stagnation? You know, I saw Rolling Stone magazine top 50 bands. It was a fucking joke. Beatles #1, Stones 2. I think 3 was U2. It's like, hell no. In no universe is that true. That's some kind of weird relationship between Jan Werner and Bono or something. Like, no one believes that. I'm sorry. No one believes that U2 is the third greatest band. And it's just like, I don't know, it's an evidence of like boom. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is like this too, where it's like, who knows how much cultural significance that will retain. You know, like rock and roll, I guess, is sort of, you know, it will always exist or it will continue to exist, but it is like this sort of like, it's not really like young people music anymore. And it's not really innovative, or at least like the innovative stuff isn't popular. You know, it's like music has evolved a couple times, hip hop, and now everything is fucking EDM, to be honest. Like, it seems like the bands were like the hottest chicks. I do think hot women like decide, they know what the coolest thing is, they find it, and like they find the most cutting edge thing. It's like they're all at like rave festivals and shit. They're like wearing lingerie and Indian headdresses in like a desert somewhere to like some jack off DJ. It's like, that really sucks for everybody in life and music, but like, you know, like now, like 9 Inch Nails is probably like the coolest band on tour or something. That's actually like a fucking band that like plays. It's like, you know, it's just like you can't really compete with that. You know, we've been defeated by the machines. You know, like, and even DJing is now sort of in the same way that hip hop, right? Like, there was something recently that hip hop, it's the first time in like whatever 30 years there's been like no hip hop songs in the top 100. You know, it's like our culture was pushing out these innovative forms. I guess that's the monoculture, that's legacy media and shit, but like the article was sort of about, we stopped doing that. You know, like we stopped making good art or something. Or like there isn't the marriage of, you know, artists working at like a really high level and like having a huge audience or something and a huge cultural kind of significance. Or I mean, even content. It's like, who out there is even making like what you'd call content that like anybody actually would want to see 100 years from now? Like, it's not really, it's just like highly disposable. You know, like, it's nice that the fucking stuff is democratized so everybody can do it. You know, I would say like maybe more people are making art or sort of half-assing it. More people probably can play music or are playing music now. I mean, it seems like everybody's got a, you know, it's just like a very low bar to just like do it. So maybe that's diluted it, or you'd think there would be better ideas coming out. You know, you'd think there'd be more competition. There would be genius level culture coming out of, you know, the democratization of just like pub production, basically. It seems like it's just rewarding a bunch of idiots. You know, people like Joe Rogan or Andrew Schultz or Mark Normand or can get like huge audiences, which is like a bad thing, actually. Like, these guys are being empowered and they absolutely should not be. Like, you know, the internet, there's something about it that is like very lowest common denominator. And then there's all these like micro niche celebrity types. You know, it's like, so it's like a popularity contest. It's like applying millennial high school social dynamics to like this weird formalized social grid that's like digitized online. How many people can you get to look at you? How many people can you get to think you're cool or sexy or enviable?
You know, materialism is also rewarded. People like flaunting their material wealth. They get attention for that. They can become famous just for that, like Dan Bilzerian. Man, I looked at Dan Bilzerian's Twitter. Dan Bilzerian is like rabidly like anti-Israel. His whole fucking Twitter is like very, you know, it's probably anti-Semitic. I would say that Dan Bilzerian is probably saying some crazy shit behind the scenes, to be honest, because his Twitter is like obsessed and good. I mean, so somebody radicalized Dan Bilzerian. I don't know who that was, but good for them. This is looking nice. How is the picture out there? I mean, does it look tolerable at all, or is it just super pixelated and shitty? There's usually people. I mean, I gotta say, the radio documentary by Ken Burns was really boring. It really did not like grab my attention at all. Something I need to, so I don't really, I mean, the Civil War, it's weird because his filmmaking style is so like rudimentary, and it's so not like technological CGI shit. It's just like voiceover, and then like him using a film interviews, talking head interviews, and then what they called on iMovie the Ken Burns effect, which is so fucking corny and cringe. But I guess kind of true is like he was able to animate. I guess it serves the subject because his stuff is sort of about like these talking ghosts. And so having these like Matthew Brady pictures or these like eerie, you know, like 19th century or this archival stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Shelby Foote said when he goes to the battlefield, it's like the ground starts talking to him. It's like he was there at Shiloh. I felt I was there. I don't know how to explain it to you, but it was like I was there. Yeah, so, what was I saying about, oh, Ken Burns is like sort of a hack. Or I guess it's so innovative. It's just like he gets a still picture and he kind of moves his camera. He zooms in, or he kind of, it's a very simple filmmaking technique, but you know, he takes a long time on those fucking documentaries. You know, it took 7 years or something. So the research, finding all the pieces of the story, getting the actors, it's kind of an interesting filmmaking. It's sort of like Chris Marker or something. They're almost like video essays. I mean, the person I could compare it to would be like those fucking Frederick Wiseman. Frederick Wiseman doesn't do talking heads though, really. It's like way more ambient and on, you know, verite or something. But I don't know. They're super watchable. It's an example of something that's like super literary seeming, where it's like you're getting all this text, you're getting all these characters. You know, it's like learning. You're learning. It's like being in class. You're getting all this information. How else would we have fucking? Could they make learning about the Civil War this mass product? You know, they can play this in your classroom. You can bootleg it. It's on the PBS streaming app. And nice. So I don't know. I don't know what the next fucking iteration of that's gonna be. I mean, TikTok or video essays on fucking YouTube, I guess, are educational. In a similar way, people are looking for value when they. I mean, I think that's why people listen to fucking Joe Rogan. Part of the pretense of it is they're going to have some kind of sort of expert, Neil deGrasse Tyson, or some kind of raconteur, somebody who can teach them something. I think that's where all these fucking conspiracy theories kind of come from. These podcasts kind of have the vibe of like late night with your friends after everybody else went home, just like deep night conversations, wondering about life, the stars. What is it? Was there God? Like, is there aliens? Who really killed JFK? I think it was Woody Harrelson's dad. What? That's like the whole manosphere. It's just men want to know. They're deep, they're wondering. But they're also like gullible. And they want to hear a good story. That's what a conspiracy theory is. It's just a good fucking story. It's the best story. It's like, oh yeah. Of course fucking Trump sucked Bill Clinton's dick. All the puzzle pieces are falling into place now. It all makes sense. Of course Hillary is a lizard fucking alien. Look at her. No human being acts that way. Of course she's got a zipper on the back of her face. I've never seen a human being so awkward and uncharismatic in my life. There's no way there, Okay, what else do I need to talk about before I wrap this up? Maybe I'll do an hour. Politics. I mean, I guess I am obsessed with politics. It feels universal to talk about that kind of shit. We watched this movie Outside Providence. We've been kind of getting the Farrelly brothers. We watched Stuck on You, which was way better than I thought it would be. The Farrelly brothers are extremely considerate when it comes to like disabilities on film. They're sort of woke in a way. The Johnny Knoxville movie about the Special Olympics was like very considerate about how it dealt with that. And so this movie Outside Providence, I remember when it came out, it was sort of like it wasn't like Dumb and Dumber. I mean, the Farrelly brothers, people don't really remember, but they were fucking, There's Something About Mary was massive. That was like the movie, that was like one battle after another. That movie made so much fucking money. People were fucking talking about it all for like months. It was the summer of whatever, 97, whenever that movie came out. It was sexy, it was flirtatious, it was young. That movie was huge. But also like Kingpin. Kingpin is a really excellent movie. I remember when I saw it in the theater. And that movie really is like moving in a really sad way. I mean, the Woody Harrelson character is just so sad. But it's like life. I don't know. My life has been more like the Woody Harrelson character than Big Earn, I would say. Trump is like Big Earn. But that's a serious fucking movie, really. Even though it's very goofy and, sort of scatological. Like, even Dumb and Dumber. I think Dumb and Dumber is like a perfect film. I think, you can't really argue that. Like, everything in Dumb and Dumber is so memorable. The line readings in Dumb and Dumber are like music. They're like jazz. They're divine. Our pets' heads are falling off. Like, that was like the way that everybody, every male I knew who I was friends with, it was like Dumb and Dumber was like, everybody knew every line in that fucking movie. And it just works. It's short. It's not really telling the same kind of story like Kingpin kind of tells you, like this tough lesson about life in a way. Dumb and Dumber is more just like this fucking hilariously, it's a road movie. It's, it's serious to some degree. There's some serious shit in it, but, Kingpin and, this movie Stuck on You was a lot, not that I loved it, like it wasn't that funny, but I thought it was going to be a piece of shit. After watching the Heartbreak Kid remake, which was a piece of shit, I don't know what happened to the Farrelly brothers, but I think they kind of went their separate ways. I don't know if they've really made anything. To millennials and Gen X people, they always had great music in their movies. Their soundtracks were always like super banging and super 90s and contemporary, but like they knew when good shit was happening. Like they knew Dead-Eye Dick or Crash Test Dummies, or they could hear the new sounds. Freddie Johnson and Jonathan Richman. I mean, that was sort of how I was introduced to Jonathan Richman. I mean, if nothing else, that is enough. Like, I remember seeing Jonathan Richman in the background of Kingpin. He has a little cameo where he's playing in a bar, being like, who's that guy? Like, I want to know about that guy. That's the thing about your consciousness. If you're really working on an interesting wavelength, like, people will get through. Like, even though I didn't know who Jonathan Richman was, it was still just like, who is that guy? What's he doing? I want to do that. I want to be that guy. I want to be playing in some little bar with just a drummer and whatever his vibe is. I know I could never have Jonathan Richman's pure soul and heart, but he's probably my hero in terms of just like the way he conducts. He's like this modern troubadour where he just sort of drives around with his fucking drummer, Tommy Larkins. And they just play these little kind of like Casbah type. I saw him in small places every time. It was like probably, 60 or 70 or 80 people. And so he's very like, he's like a gypsy. Even though he's pure American, from the heart, poet, songwriters, Lou Reed, and I don't know, there's not that many. He always had that guy Vic Chestnut open for him. Every time I saw him, Jonathan Richman had Vic Chestnut. And I think Vic Chestnut was like maybe in Vietnam or something. He was in a wheelchair. And I remember just thinking like, it was very like outsider. It's almost like Freddie, or who's that guy, Daniel Johnston. It's like really like gnarly. So I didn't really appreciate it at the time. Like, I didn't dislike it, but it was sort of like, okay, this is interesting. This guy's, enchanting and touching and stuff, but now I would probably be more into it. I'd probably get it more. But I thought that was that's a cool move, on his part. And so I like the way that Jonathan Richman sort of remains like not this corporate rock. He works on a small level. He goes personally to the people and shares his stuff to like a bunch of art students and shit. Every Jonathan Richman concert. That was sort of how I heard about a girlfriend in college. She had heard this Jonathan Richman CD and she was like a photography major. Somebody was playing it in the studio. So she brought it, and I was like, what is this? I've been, I knew who, I sort of was like looking for this for like a long time. I was like, who is this guy? Like, I know, before the, I don't know, AI and shit, it was like, who is this guy? Like, he's in this fucking movie, and like, but he's not really, like, Jonathan Richman doesn't really, other than Road Runner, he doesn't really have like a giant known, you know, they might play him on like NPR or something. Like they're not really going to play Jonathan Richman on fucking, you know, classic rock radio or something like. And even Roadrunner, you know, it's a legendary great song, but it's sort of I don't know, he has more interesting music, I think. He has a whole career, you know, he's still making very personal, very you know, poetic, relevant songwriting, I think. He seems healthy, he eats healthy. He sings about it in his songs. Where were the Modern Lovers on the top 50 fucking Rolling Stone? I mean, Rolling Stone is just like, they're going deranged in their old age. They're sort of taking a hard right turn. Matt Taibbi is like right wing. And I don't know. They had that, Rolling Stone had that article about the alt-lit shit in LA that was like sort of anti-woke. So I don't really, I mean, Rolling Stone has always been sort of like a bane of my existence because growing up in the monoculture, like Rolling Stone, we always had it in our house. And it was just like this endless boomer, you know, rock and roll, like another interview with Dylan, another interview with McCartney, and, you know, another fucking one of the Allman Brothers died, you know, or another. It's like they were gods, okay? They were gods. It was another thing where like that technology was being born while they were making their music. So they were the first ones in a way. Like music had never sounded that good until the fucking 60s. It was all very canned and it's like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, we can't be better than the fucking Beatles. So what are we supposed to do, you know? And Rolling Stone just hammers that every fucking issue. Monoculture, monoculture, monoculture. Who's on the hot list? Britney's on the cover. Fucking Heath Ledger's on the cover. Fucking Eminem's on the cover. Now it's just like, is it even in print anymore? It's sort of like Playboy or something where it's like it doesn't really have the same esteem. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame kind of feels like that, where it's like they don't really know what to do after the year 2000. It's like, yeah, we'll put Salt and Pepper in. Like, I don't think that's a bad choice. I think it's a good choice, but it's like, you know, Jack White, what are they going to do when they run out of Jack White bands? He's about the last rock and roll guy left, I think, you know, with any kind of like real validity after, you know, of like a younger generation. Who are they going to put fucking Matty Healy in there? Or Taylor? When does Taylor get inducted into the Rock Hall? Taylor fucking Momsen is at every fucking rock induction ceremony. I remember Taylor Momsen was like on Gossip Girl, the original. What the fuck has Taylor Momsen ever done besides the original Gossip Girl in these Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremonies? It's like she's sort of famous for what? Just looking rock and roll or something. But like, that's not to say there's not good music being made. There's not good contemporary bands. You know, I've heard tons of shit. There was tons of shit on MySpace that had like really great, complicated songwriting with harmonies and chord changes and like. It's like, I don't know, that's already been done. It's like, even if you sound like the fucking Beach Boys or something, it's like, we've heard that. Like, we have those recordings. We don't need your imitation. You have to, like, be Fleet Foxes or some shit like that, and, like, you know, you change the harmonies into something that's, like, you know, sounds new to a bunch of chicks. So they'll be like, oh, yes, this is cool. This is for us. Oh, Vampire Weekend. You know, Vampire Weekend. It's like they just hit the vibe of what people wanted the soundtrack of their lives. You know, it just worked stylistically. You know, when fucking Vampire Weekend came out, it was like, oh yeah, like this sounds academic. It sounds like a Wes Anderson soundtrack. It's sort of like a Kinks, but it also had like a worldliness. The lyrics were like, you know, talking about Kuala Lumpur or fucking horchata, or, you know, they had a lot of elegant kind of rhymes. So it could compete with like hip hop and like headphone listening, close listening. Those guys went to Columbia. You know, it wasn't Louie Louie. It was articulate. It was like Vampire, or Arctic Monkeys. Like a lot of the millennial music has got lyrical prowess. Like, it's informed by hip hop in that way. Things, even shit like Bo Burnham. You know, Taylor Swift, same thing. Like, it's just got tons and tons of like hooky play on words, emotion and short space, like poetry. But, you know, like the shit from the 60s, a lot of the lyrics are just kind of like filler. Or countries like that now too. It's just like the lyrics are so tight. There's a fucking play on words in every line. There's a something memorable in every line. And Vampire Weekend does that in a very, you know, refined way. And I hated them for it. You know, they didn't sound like some rock band from Detroit or something. You know, they sound like Baroque pop-ish. They have that kind of like chamber music-ish. It's more like elitist feeling. So this movie, I wanted to talk about this movie, Outside Providence, because it's based on Bobby Farrelly's novel, who is one of the directors of Dumb and Dumber. And it felt like it was based on a novel. It's like, it's super detailed. And it's all about prep school. It's like a prep school. So it's like, there's all these fucking movies about prep school, The Holdovers. Ashley's really into prep school fucking movies. And so I thought this was an interesting Outside Providence, because it is like a nostalgia, you know, here's what my youth was like, kind of looking back thing, reminiscence. But it really is layered and textured like a novel. But it's like, it's sort of a working class look at prep school life. It's like his dad, Alec Baldwin plays his dad, which I remember when this movie came out, it was like Alec Baldwin was like old. You're like, he's old. And you look at him, he's probably like 35 in this movie. He looks super young and handsome. But he's playing like this salty Irish, like, it's sort of about political correctness in a way, because him and his dad is super like, you know, 70s dad, where he's like, he punches him in the face, you know, and they just say all this really like salty shit about, you know, one of their friends is like, admits that he's gay at their card game, and they like run him out of the card game, but then they accept him later. So it's sort, you know, they're hitchhiking the whole fucking movie. They're like hitchhiking to prep school. They go to Florida. So it's kind of an interesting like 90s. I think there was a lot of 70s nostalgia, like That 70s Show. It kind of has a That 70s Show, which makes sense. You know, it's like the 70s are sort of like, I don't know. It's an intense decade, I feel like, because you just get the impression everybody was loaded and wild and drinking beer and fucking doing acid and smoking grass and listening to fucking Manfred Mann, the Earth Band and shit. 70s, man. If you remember me, we weren't there. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the fucking... But, This Outside Providence movie, it doesn't get a whole lot of... I think this is one of the glories of the internet, is you can just watch any fucking obscure movie ever made, basically, on streaming. I think it's on Tubi. And, I don't know, maybe I just like bad, mediocre movies, but, they didn't direct it. The Farrelly brothers didn't direct it. Some other guy directed it. But it's got nice cinematography, some nice camera move type shit. So I don't know. It fit in with the Tadpole movie, and then we watched this movie Belly, which is directed by Larry Clark. I've never seen Kids. Belly Ashley's really into it. It was good. It was very artistic, very well done. It was sort of like Spring Break. You can see the Spring Breakers influence he had. It's sort of like if Spring Breakers and In Cold Blood had a baby. It's like, it's very factual, but it's also like, it's very Florida man. This is my movie review show. Like Roger and Ebert, like Siskel and Ebert here. Follow me on Letterboxd, Geets Romo. Thank you for watching. I'm going to get off soon. I got to go to work. I don't even know what time it is. It's probably like, what, 6 or 5:30? 5? It's probably 5. Oh, here's a Benihana. I saw somebody complaining that a couple different movies recently have made Benihana jokes. So, Benihana's back. Haru, where I worked, which was a sushi restaurant, was like a sushi subsidiary of Benihana. So it was like Benihana but sushi. So I've lived that Benihana life. It was nice. It really wasn't bad to some degree. Yeah, so anyway, this is my warm-up. Thank you for watching. Go back and watch my last live stream. I don't know if you've watched that, but I thought it was pretty... There was just a lot there. So we're trying to work on some kind of book TV, where we'd love to bring a book TV back to life, where we review authors, 3-hour-long interviews in the studio. We have callers call in with questions. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you. Come watch the open mic later. It's Mike's Giving, everybody. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Mike's Giving. There should be a lot of exciting stuff. So tune in 9 p.m. Around 9 p.m. The open mic will be live. We'll see you then.